can't be all. So he can't be all good.
No, let's talk about religion. He does though. He does say everything can be good.
How?
Well, what's up?
Don't do it.
It's
Why don't you?
she's nothing.
This is the Christian VC,
Don't
Bella.
Don't do it.
It's
Why don't you want to
just
talk about
it's
religion?
it's best to just ignore her and talk over her, turn her down to 20 so she can yap to no one. I'm serious.
Okay. So yeah, what did you just say?
I think you said he does stop all evil, and I said how.
Okay, so
Yeah, I can hear her. She's turned down to 10. If you want to engage with me and actually talk about something productive, about Jesus, about God, about Christianity, then feel free. But if you want to listen, if you want to,
no, I will. Don't worry, just ignore her if you're gonna ignore her. Don't worry.
Yeah, I know.
So like, evil exists, right? And I've seen it. And if evil is real, then so is good, right? But what would define good and evil if there's no higher power?
Evil and good would be presupposing that there's an objective moral law. Then evil would be the deprivation of good.
So morality, purpose, love.
Yeah, morality is the determining what is good, bad, right, or wrong. So presupposing that good is objectively defined, then that would be evil. If, like, let's say it is objectively a bad thing to murder, then killing someone would be evil. But presupposing that they are objective, like let's say expressing love or experiencing love is something that's objective, then the deprivation of love would be something that could be defined, but it's not really. There's no objective way to love someone.
They are objective realities, though.
Yeah, they exist. They're descriptive terms which we use to define the way that we feel things, but it's not actually... There's no objective way to express it.
There's no love in the world. We're just no heart.
But I believe they are objective reality, and they only make sense if there's a moral lawgiver.
Yep. And for morality, for example, the difference between subjective and objective morality is you're saying that the thing that is influencing what is moral is something external lawgiver. I'm saying it's the lawgiver is internal. You're saying it's an agent which is external to the human mind. I'm saying the agent is the human mind.
Well, I think the universe itself is evidence. Like it had a beginning.
This is why I said that Ms. B, the chick who's yapping right now, doesn't know
So
because
the universe itself is evidence, right? It had a beginning. It's finely tuned. Science doesn't explain why it exists.
Yeah, this is
Only
why
that it does. But logic demands a creator.
Yeah, this is why these reasons that you're stating is why I said that Ms. B, the chick who's yapping right now, doesn't know me. Because I'm not an atheist. I'm actually a deist. So I believe that the world does have a beginning, and the cause of it was a being which has a consciousness. So that would be a deity. That would be God, as we describe him.
Okay, so... So I've always believed in God, right? But then when I saw the depth of human...
Is she yapping? Just, dude, turn her down to 5. Let her talk to Gretchen.
That's fine.
Do you actually?
Yeah, but when I saw the...
Yeah, I was gonna say, do you actually want to talk about religion, or do you want to talk to Miss B?
Yeah.
Talk about nonsense.
No, I'm speaking to you, bro.
Yeah, got you.
By seeing the depth of human... depravity, right, only just strengthened my belief that God exists. And evil isn't just like bad decisions or psychology, it's something a lot deeper. And if there's a real darkness in the world, then there must be real light. And that light is God, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's great for William Lane Craig to say in his the way that he defines morality, and for C.S. Lewis to say that because he knows that there is bad in the world, therefore that must mean that God exists. But it is perfectly equally as rational to say that the reason that you know that evil exists is because you define as a person what is evil, not anyone external to yourself.
Okay, so do you have any theory of where we exist?
Deism?
So you're a theist.
Deist.
Oh, so you do believe in God.
Yeah, just not the same as you.
So you're just not a Christian.
I used to be.
Well, yeah, no. Do you not believe in the Trinity? What made you not be a Christian?
The Trinity has its own problems, which aren't really addressed very much, but I stopped being a Christian, firstly because I don't believe in the supernatural, and secondly because of the problem of evil. And the problem of evil is directly solved with deism by saying God isn't all-powerful, or he isn't all-knowing. All he did was create the universe. That's it. And he doesn't interact with human affairs. He doesn't intervene. We have no connection to him. He's impersonal. So God doesn't interact with humans. That means that humans sin.
I mean, would he have not interacted with us with the miracles?
No, I don't believe in miracles.
You don't?
No.
I mean, there's been a lot of miracles.
Like what?
The resurrection of Christ.
Yeah, I don't believe in the resurrection of Jesus. I believe it has historically and also theologically. I, of course, don't believe in the supernatural, so of course I reject Jesus resurrecting.
What about the Eucharistic miracles? Or the incorrupt saints?
What are I don't
miraculous healings?
Healings, they can be boiled down to a lot of things. Just like what kind of healings? Like Jesus healing, or like when those pastors touch people in wheelchairs and the people in the wheelchairs stand up?
No, like if just miraculous healings, like terminally ill people were cured instantly, confirmed by doctors.
Mm-hmm. And that's those miracles, those are great for an individual. If you believe that like a pastor came in and touched a person on the forehead and they were cured of cancer, then that's one thing. That's great for the person as an individual, and it's great if you believe that. I think that your own personal beliefs are what ought to drive you towards any religion, towards God. But it doesn't really work for me as an individual which makes me feel like a dick for saying, that's great for you, but it's not really convincing to me. I wasn't there. I don't know what really happened that day, but it's...
So, do you know about the Eucharistic miracles?
The healings? Well, I said what are those, and then you said healings.
No, it's when the communion bread physically transforms into human flesh.
Oh, transubstantiation? Yeah, I think that's stupid.
I mean, have you seen Lanciano in Italy in the 8th century?
If transubstantiation is true and literal in the Eucharist, then we ought to see it with every single time that a person eats the bread, right? Like, if I were to autopsy the person every time they eat the bread, are you saying that every single person all the time, if I were to cut open their stomach, then I would find meat inside of it?
I don't know, would you?
I'm asking you.
I don't know.
If
but literally,
it's a dilemma.
The host turned into human heart tissue, right?
Yeah, I know.
Blood type AB. Scientists confirmed it was living cardiac tissue under extreme stress.
Yeah, I know this, and I just don't want you to kind of evade what I was asking you. It's, do you think if every single person who, if I were to cut open their stomach after they took in the leavened bread for the Eucharist, that I would find meat inside or human flesh?
Not sure. I don't know where I'd find the answer for that.
Because
Um,
it's the literal body and bread of Jesus,
I've
the body
seen
and
it.
blood of
Wait.
Jesus.
All right. So in Buenos Aires in Argentina, this was very recent. In 1996, right? Another host turned into human flesh and blood. Again, cardiac muscle, blood type AB, right? Even atheist scientists admitted this was impossible to fake, right? They medically examined it. There were no preservatives. Tissues was alive. Came from the person who was actually tortured. So either someone secretly swapped a piece of it, of the dying man's heart, into a locked tabernacle, which is impossible, or this is supernatural.
And yeah, I think that the evidence that there was actually human heart tissue inside of the person who ate from the bread for the Eucharist has other explanations which a Catholic would not accept. They're going to immediately jump to, oh, this was clearly the heart tissue of Jesus. This is literal flesh of Jesus. Of course, this is written in our miracles. It's in our doctrine for it to be the case. Or someone slipped in a little bit of meat into the bread when they baked it. There's there's other more reasonable explanations for it.
Yeah, that shit can't.
But
That's
to
not.
but to jump to the conclusion and be so close-minded to say that it was a miracle, and it must have been the miracle of the literal body of Jesus that we took in, I think is
Yeah,
insane.
so how come certain saints' bodies didn't?
Whoops! Up, Discord's about to crash. Shit!
Decompose despite no
Discord's about to crash. Nope, I'm good. Never mind.
Okay, and what if we leave this topic right now and go to how do you think the earth was created?
Naturally.
What, Big Bang?
Well, the universe was created. I think that the Big Bang is like an accurate way of how the beginning of the universe was, right? I think the cause of the Big Bang would have been deism. And the Earth itself...
Yeah, I mean, are you with Isaac Newton, Johannes Kepler, Louis Pasteur? Are you with these guys?
I know Isaac Newton. I don't know the other guys' theories about how the universe was created. Einstein was a deist.
Johannes Kepler said science is thinking God's thoughts after him. And Louis Pasteur said a little science takes you away from God, but a lot of science brings you back.
Yeah, I think that science is a language, more or less. It's a or it's not exactly a language in the way that of words, but it's a language that we use to describe how we believe certain things, or what's it called? It's like scientific.
Do you
theory.
believe that the universe is eternal?
No, I believe that as a beginning.
Okay. So you're definitely a theist. Okay.
Deist.
Deist.
Yeah, deist with a D. That's what I was saying. That's what.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you think that?
I don't know why you have Bella turned up to a part where you can hear her. Like, it's me and you, bro.
So I don't get it. Like, what do you think? Of the creation? Do you believe in Adam and Eve, that we descend from them, or not?
No, I believe like in evolution.
Well, from what, apes, or whatever?
More or less. I'm calling it. I took a class in biological anthropology, so I know. To say that we were apes and that we were monkeys as if it's some type of refutation doesn't really work for me, because I know, like, about the Africanus, from the Africanus to the what's it called, to the Neanderthal to the human. It's what I think. It's a bit of an appeal to authority and consensus, but I'm not a nerd, but I trust in the nerds who do know this shit, and I think that they are. I don't think that all of them are lying and trying to disprove God, but I think that they have come up with the best possible explanation based on the evidence that they have.
I'm not seeing any, but fair enough.
We have tailbones, but no tail.
Yeah. So,
Where do you think our tailbones came from? We have no purpose for them. If you're listening to Miss B, just don't. At this point, she's distracting you. Like, turn her down to 0 at this point.
no, I mean, I didn't know what to answer to that.
Like, where do you think our tailbones come from?
Or spinal cords.
Yeah. Tailbones,
Not sure.
the bottom of the spinal cord, which is meant to unleash a little tail. Why do you not think we have tails? Is he still listening to Miss B? Like, dude.
No, I'm just like, there's a lot of people in this VC, like, they can talk, but yeah, I'm listening.
I know, I'm just saying Miss B is intentionally going to try and derail us from having a genuine conversation.
No, it's fine, don't worry. Well, I mean, I just don't know. I was waiting for someone else to answer, honestly. Like, why do we not have tails? Like, I don't know. I haven't looked into it, honestly.
If you look it up and you just say, Google, do we have tailbones? It'll say yes. And then, like...
I know we have tailbones.
Yeah. And, what else? There was some other things. I used to have a list memorized, but that was the only thing I remember. But yeah, I have no problem with believing in, that's another thing that, if you're a Christian, you believe in 6-day creation. To believe that the earth was created in 6 days is ridiculous.
Why?
Because do you really think that all of the mass in the material that created Earth, the gravitational pull and all that, happened in 6 literal days?
Yeah, wow. What's the problem with that?
The way that we understand a planet to be formed is a process which takes millions or billions of years. It's basically like space dust gathering up into the gravitational pull of the sun and coming together into a ball. That's a planet. And it takes millions and billions of years.
I don't know, but where's the actual proof for that? Like, that's just some mad scientist saying that.
I trust, like I said, I trust in the authority. You can be mad at me for appealing to consensus or appealing to authority, but I trust in the nerds that study this shit their entire lives. And
Do you trust the people that say that they can measure the time between the Earth and this other random planet? Like, and they're like, oh yeah, it's like 2 million years away.
yeah,
Like, what the fuck?
But knowing the speed of light and how far something away isn't hard to calculate. A 12th grader could figure that out.
Come on, man. That's ridiculous.
Do you think a 12th grader can't figure out how far away a distant galaxy is?
No, he can't.
You take a telescope. Telescopes work with mirrors in order to see farther away than like a camera lens. You see a dot in the sky. Zoom in all the way.
Yeah.
A lens will go. It'll hit the end, right? That's so from my eye, hits the lens, bounces back on a mirror, and then shoots out, and so I can see 100 times farther. Now, take the size of the image that I'm seeing, and then you can use that. I don't know how. I forget, but to calculate the distance.
Yeah. Okay, so that sounds a bit similar to when I was younger. Okay, I could watch a car drive past me, right, and I could calculate how fast the car was going. You know how? Because the light was shining on the car and then shining on my eyes, right? And through that, I could actually tell the exact miles per hour that car was going.
Congratulations, you just figured out how far something is in light years.
No, I figured out how to tell how quick someone is moving just by watching it.
If we know how fast we're going around the sun, for example, and then we were to see Jupiter going past us from a distance, just like how you could see a car moving. If I'm moving 60 miles an hour and a car is moving slowly past me, then that car is probably going 65 miles an hour. Just like how if I'm going 10 million miles an hour around the sun and then I were to see Jupiter slowly losing distance from us, then it's probably going 7 million miles an hour or 5 million miles an hour.
Honestly, like, I find stuff like that very hard to
I just gave
believe.
you like a explanation that a 5-year-old can understand.
I mean, I can give you an explanation of why Jesus is God.
Go ahead.
Even a 5-year-old would understand it.
Go ahead.
Okay, so Jesus, he's the revelation and image of the invisible God that you can't see. He's the word of God who reveals God, okay? So,
Yep, John
if
1,
you,
John
sir,
1:14.
if you, Bubba, take a picture of yourself, okay, and you look at it, is it you or is it a picture of you?
It's a picture of me.
Okay, so if you hold the picture of you next to you, does that mean you're two different things, right? Even
No.
though it's showing you?
No.
What do you mean? There's a picture of you, and then there's actual you,
It's not too...
right?
You agreed with when I said it's a picture of me. So, it's a me and a picture of me. You agreed with that 5 seconds ago.
Okay, so you're basically saying that Jesus is a picture of God, and he's revealing God. Thank you very much.
I didn't agree with that at all.
Thank you, brother.
I know that this
You
works...
just literally did. You just literally said you're the same thing.
I know this works.
As your own picture.
I know this works with retarded people, but it's not gonna work with me, dude. If I'm holding up a picture of myself, it's two different things: a me and a picture. I'm
But
not
you just
saying
said it's the
I'm
same
not.
thing.
I am not saying that Jesus is a picture. I'm saying that personally that
Well,
Jesus
I
is
am.
just.
I'm telling
saying,
you, Jesus is a picture of
good
God.
Good for you. That's delusional. I'm saying that
And he's revealing God.
I'm saying that Jesus is a regular human man who probably did claim to be God, but I'm saying he's not. I'm saying he's a regular dude.
But how is Jesus a picture of God and he's revealing God?
I'm not saying Jesus is a picture of God. You're saying Jesus is a picture of God. I'm saying
He
Jesus is a
literally
regular.
is.
I just said 5 seconds ago. What did I just say 5
He
seconds
said
ago?
himself that he's the
Good for him.
picture of
What
God.
do
He's
I
the
believe that
revelation
Jesus? What do
and
I
image.
want? Leo, I want to see if you're listening. What do I think Jesus is?
What do you think Jesus is?
What do I think Jesus is? I just said it 30 seconds ago.
I mean, don't know. Just you think is a man? I don't know.
Yes, just a regular dude. So what you're doing is the fallacy of view shifting. You're saying that since you believe that Jesus is a picture of God, and I believe, and I believe
No,
that
but I was telling.
because
I was
believe
proving to you
because
how
I believe.
Jesus is God. Right?
Hold on, Leo. It's that if I say that a picture of me and me are two different things, therefore I believe the same thing as you. No, that's not the case. I believe that Jesus is a regular dude. You believe that he's a picture of God. We are not the same.
Yeah.
That doesn't just prove
Yeah. So
that Jesus is
I'm
God.
trying to prove. Yeah. So see, a 5-year-old would understand this, but you don't. Right?
If I were to tell,
And as I'm
if
saying,
do you think that
believing in God was never a question for me, okay? But knowing who God is, that was a real journey, okay? And that journey led me to Jesus, okay? Jesus wasn't just another religious leader, okay?
Yes, he
He's
was.
different from all others. No, he didn't come.
Jeez.
He didn't just preach morality. He claimed to be the Son of God, right? No other religious figure in history made the claims that Jesus did and backed them up, right? In John 14:6, it literally says, "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me."
Okay,
But why
that's good
do
for
I
him.
believe in him? Why do I actually believe in him? Simple. His life, his death, and his resurrection, which was actually witnessed by a lot of people.
Oh, how many?
How many? 500.
Where does it say that? 1 Corinthians.
It's
I'll answer. I'll answer for you.
Yes.
1 Corinthians.
Yeah, 1 Corinthians. Yeah.
Where are their testimonies?
Well, Paul is literally saying, "Go ask them."
So
It's
we
their
have
lives.
so we have one testimony that says that 500 people witnessed Jesus.
Yeah. Do you need more?
So we don't have 500 people then. We have one. Paul Paul testifying that 500 people saw it is not 500 testimonies. It's one testimony.
Okay, so then before the resurrection, the disciples ran away like scared children, right?
That's the account, and I have no problem with that. Who?
Yeah.
And again, who are Mark and Luke? Were they disciples?
Wait, hang on. Peter denied Jesus 3 times.
Good for him.
right, to a servant girl.
I have no problem with that.
After that, he
we
preached
agree.
boldly, right, knowing he'd get
Good for
killed
him.
for it.
Good for him.
If
We
they
agree.
were making
Actually,
it
no,
up,
we didn't.
why would they die for a lie?
Because they
every
didn't.
single one of them was tortured or killed.
Yes.
Yet none of them
Perfectly. Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Because the only evidence. Do you think that all the disciples died for their belief?
Yeah.
They didn't.
They were martyrs. So Peter, he was crucified upside down. Paul was beheaded in Rome.
How do you know that?
James, right,
Stop.
literally Jesus' brother, he was thrown off the temple, then beaten to death.
How do you know
Thomas, he was speared in India. Andrew was crucified in Greece.
Leo, I know the list. I
Bartholomew
have the
skinned
same
alive.
list.
People
I
don't
have
die
the
for
same list
something
as
they
you do,
know is
Leo.
fake. The
Leo, I have
disciples
the
didn't
same
just
script.
believe, they knew
Leo, I
Jesus
have-
rose from the dead.
Leo, I am an ex-Christian. I have the same script as you do. I can read the same list that you just read word for word. How do you know? I can agree with you with Peter and Paul. That comes from 1 Clement 5, chapter 5, where he mentions Peter and he mentions Paul. Paul was beheaded. Peter was crucified upside down. Tell me, where are all the other evidences for all the other disciples' deaths?
Okay, so even non-Christian historians confirmed Jesus' death, right?
Where?
Roman historian, was it Tacitus?
Tacitus
Right?
didn't.
He
Tacitus
says,
did not.
yes, he did. He says Christos, from who the name Christian had its origin, suffered the extreme penalty under Pontius
Yeah.
Pilate during the reign of Tiberius.
That's
right?
Jesus. I don't care about Jesus right now. I'm asking you about the disciples. We know Peter, we know Paul. Paul wasn't even a true disciple, but we have Peter. Name James, Simon, Thomas, Matthew. How about all of them? How do we know how they died?
Man, you could probably find some of them where they were buried.
Okay, I don't care. What is the testimony of how they died? Where?
So what do you want me to get, like the death certificate?
No, I'm saying we have testimonies of Peter and Paul. That comes from 1 Clement chapter 5. That's Peter and Paul. But how about Matthew, Thomas, Simon the Zealot? How about Jude? How about little James? All of them. Where is the way? How do we know how they died?
The only reason why we even know who these people are because of the Bible.
Good for
right?
Good for that.
So
I
then
don't
if
care.
you're
I'm
asking me to find
Leo,
it somewhere else, it's
Leo,
a bit stupid, isn't it?
That's where we got Peter and Paul's. But I'm asking you. I don't care about the Bible right now. Anywhere, any document from any
Well, we're
place.
literally talking about
Leo,
Christianity
Leo,
in the
I'm
Christian
asking
chat,
you-
so the Bible is like kind of relevant here.
Okay, good for you. I'm asking you a very simple, straightforward question, and you answered a different question. Where can we find the testimonies of how any other disciple died apart from Peter and Paul?
You can find out how Thomas died
From?
in India.
From? Pull up the document.
So you expect me to have all of these documents ready, right?
We have one from Peter and Paul. I agree with you. 1 Clement chapter 5. You just claimed that we
Okay.
know Thomas. Where? I know you're looking it up right now, and I'm giving you plenty of time.
Yeah, I am. I'm going to look it up.
Yeah, and you won't find any. Especially with Thomas. Thomas, apart from the story of doubting Thomas and the end of the book of John, there's not much about Thomas. There ain't shit. I know that because I looked it up myself. Ages ago.
So they just the only claim comes from Bible.
No, I just said 1 Clement chapter 5. Is that in the Bible?
So then how do they know Thomas died?
That's my point. Congratulations. You just reached the point. Is that the only testimonies that we have of any of the disciples dying, specifically for their belief in Jesus, only comes from Peter and Paul in 1 Clement chapter 5. That's the only document that was written by a person who was alive at the time that it happened. Everything else, like from Athanasius or Irenaeus, they happened in like 180 AD or 200 AD.
Well, I found here there's early Christian writings, there's archaeological findings, and there's
Where?
local traditions too.
Traditions are not testimonies. They're just stories.
So why would they just make up that story? The ones that are local too.
Congratulations. That's the question I've been asking for the past 6 months.
What?
That is the question. Why would they make up this story? Is the question that I've been asking for the past 6 months. Ever since I departed
Because
from
they
Christianity. I believe that they would, for a good reason. I believe, this is the point, that the narrative that Jesus resurrected from the dead is a narrative that was pushed by Peter for his own agenda and Paul for his own agenda. We have all, because who was Luke and Mark? You didn't answer
Then
this.
where does
Leo.
these other ones come into play?
I ask you a question and you're answering it with a question. Who is Luke and Mark a follower of?
Jesus.
No, they weren't. Luke and Mark are not disciples of Jesus. They never met Jesus.
They weren't followers of Jesus.
No, they'd never met Jesus.
Mark and who? Luke.
Luke.
They weren't followers of Jesus.
They were. Shad just answered it for you, so I'll answer it for you. Luke was a follower of Paul. Mark was a follower of Jesus. Sorry, excuse me. Mark was a follower of Peter. He was a translator for Peter. He was a scribe. So, you have 2 out of the 4 disciples which were written by people who never met Jesus. They were only going off of something that someone else said.
Okay.
Which fits very
But
well.
would we not trust Peter and Paul?
It's as to what I just said 60 seconds ago, which is, I believe that the narrative that Jesus died and rose from the dead is a narrative that was pushed by Peter and Paul. 2 of the 4 gospels.
Yeah, but hang on. But they were
written by
literally.
people.
But you just said it. They were disciples of apostles and wrote. Based on first-hand.
And I believe that
first-hand testimony.
And I believe that Peter and Paul were pushing the narrative that Jesus rose from the dead for their own agenda.
Okay, you can make that claim.
Yeah,
but
that's
where's
fine.
the proof for that?
I just fucking said it. We have the accounts of how Peter died. We have the accounts of how Paul died. 2 of the 4 gospels, which you agree are canon, are written not by followers of Jesus, but by followers of Peter and Paul, who are portraying Jesus in a very particular way to push a narrative which gives them some type of religious or political power.
If Peter and Paul followed Jesus, right? How can Mark and Luke not be following Jesus either through Peter and Paul?
They're directly follow. The only reason, what is the only possible way that that Luke and Mark, 2 people who never met Jesus, what is the only way that they could possibly know about Jesus?
Man, if I'm following you and 2 people are following me,
I asked you a question and you're trying to answer a different question. If Mark and Luke never met Jesus, what is the only possible way that they could know about Jesus?
what, through Luke and through Paul and Peter?
Yes. So that means what you've agreed with is that Mark is writing things down about Jesus that Peter is telling him. And Luke is writing things down about Jesus that Paul is telling him. Correct?
Yeah, but that's not to say that they weren't closely connected to the apostles anyway.
I believe that the apostles were lying.
Well, I believe they're not.
Well, good for
Because
that's
there's proof that
good for
they
you.
weren't.
Because men can't rise from the dead. Men can't walk on water. Man cannot feed 5,000 people out of thin air. So,
Well,
what's the answer?
clearly they did.
Well, that's what they say he did.
I mean, there's literally records from Roman governors,
Where?
Jewish historians, Roman historians,
About Jesus feeding the 5,000 and walking on water?
been resurrecting.
Where? If this was...
Really,
Yes, fucking really. If you're going to claim that there are...
Josephus said at this
Josephus,
time there
yes.
was a wise man called Jesus.
Yes, pronounced Josephus.
Pilate condemned him. Yeah, okay. It's actually Josephus. Pilate condemned him to be crucified, but his disciple claimed he appeared to them alive 3 days later. So that's another claim. Okay, his disciples, was it only Paul and Peter?
Was it only Paul and Peter? No, Josephus, however. Why don't you... My critique of Josephus, which is fine that you brought that up. It's, why is Josephus not...
He's a Jew.
He's a Jew. Matthew's a Jew. John is a Jew.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's not a valid reason as to not make it biblically canon. Josephus' testimony.
Okay.
So why
But
isn't
he still said it. He still wrote it.
Yeah. So
That's
why
still
isn't
in the
it-
history.
Why...
You wanted proof.
Yeah, I know.
Like, there it is. It's written down.
I know, and I'm saying, why isn't it biblically canon?
What does that mean?
Why is it not?
Why isn't it biblically?
Why is it not a gospel?
Because that's part of history. What? The historian wrote it down.
Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John are all parts of history. The book of Acts is a part of history.
Wait,
The
was
book of
Josephus like an apostle or a disciple? What was he?
No, he was a person who knew Pontius Pilate. is who
He wasn't
Josephus
even
was.
Christian. Why is he going to
Yeah,
write
neither was
in
Matthew.
the-
Neither was Matthew. Neither was John. Neither was Luke or Paul. They were all Jews.
Well, yeah, they were.
Paul was a Pharisee
No,
when they wrote down the Gospels.
they were ethnic Jews, but they were Christians.
Yes, they were.
They were the early Christians.
How is that? How is that not what I just said?
This Josephus was not an early Christian at all.
Just follow. All of them. The word Christian didn't exist until later in the book of Acts.
Like his name was Yosef ben Mattiyahu.
First century.
Like compare it to all of these others, right? You don't see Christians having them names today, do you?
Josephus, first century Jewish historian, who was. Let's try again. How about Matthew? Matthew, first century Jewish tax collector. These people are all Jewish. So to say that Josephus was a Jew, therefore that's why his...
No, he was an actual Jew. He was, like, what the hell?
Yes, also known as Levi, was one of the 12
Yeah,
apostles
he didn't
of Jesus,
become Christian, did he?
All of them
The others
became
became
Christian.
Christians.
By the time that they wrote down the
He
Gospels, the word Christian didn't exist until around 40 AD.
Yeah, but this guy, descendants, did this guy convert into Christianity? Did he?
Did he? Yes, all of them did, eventually.
No, this Josephus guy.
Josephus, I don't know. It just says first century Jewish historians.
Yeah, so that's what we're talking about. He was just a Jew. He
So he's just a
wasn't
Jew.
a Christian.
So you
He
can't...
just wrote down the history. And he literally said, but his disciples claimed he appeared to them alive 3 days later.
It's not, but if you look at any
And
catechism...
now
if you
we have
look
to find out who he means by disciples. Does he mean only
Yeah.
Paul and Peter?
Leo-
Or does he mean others?
It is not a standard in any catechism, in any early church writing, or any church tradition, that the requirement to be able to make a biblically canon book is that you must be a Christian. Matthew was a Jew. John was a Jew. Luke never met Jesus. Mark never met Jesus.
Matthew was not just a random Jew, though. That's the thing.
Is your claim, that I want to make this clear, is your claim that in order to write a gospel, you have to be a Christian?
Matthew was an apostle, okay? Matthew the evangelist, okay? This random Jew that you're talking about is just a random Jew.
I asked you a question, you answered a different question. My direct question is...
It's like saying Jesus is Jewish and not Christian.
Uh-huh. And what I'm asking you directly is it a requirement in order to be able to write a book that is biblically canon that you must be a Christian?
Yes.
Where?
Because
I'm
you
saying,
had to be an apostle to be a Christian. And they're the early Christians.
When
they're
I
the first of Christians.
when
They
I
were
s-
Jews who converted to Christianity, okay? Through Jesus. Yeah?
When I say
And
where...
this guy, Josephus, did not convert.
When I say where, what I'm asking for is to look at any early church document, any catechism, anything that states that this must be the case.
Of what?
That you must be a Christian to write a biblically canon book.
No, it's not that you must, okay? It's
You
just that there
just said
hasn't
it
been.
was.
Yeah, because there hasn't been.
When I asked you that direct question, I said, is it a requirement that you must be a Christian? You said yes.
Yeah, because clearly no one else has written the Bible that isn't Christian. So yeah, it must be.
Was Moses a Christian?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Moses never met Jesus. How could he be a Christian?
Yeah.
He never heard of Jesus.
Because Jesus is God.
He lived 1400 years before Jesus. He never met Jesus the person. He met God the Father, but he never met Jesus the
Okay,
person.
well, just you can go and argue with the Muslims too.
I'm not
Jesus
arguing with the
isn't a
Muslims.
Muslim.
I'm not arguing with the Muslims about Jesus being a Muslim. You keep on trying to shift topics. I'm pulling you back. What you said that Moses
but it's
is
the
a
same
Christian.
argument, man.
He's never heard of, no, it's not even close. I'm not claiming that Moses was a fucking Muslim. I'm claiming that Moses was not a follower of Christ. He never met Christ. He was a Jew. He knew Yahweh. He knew Elohim. He knew God the Father, whatever you want to call him.
Yeah.
So was Moses a Christian?
Not exactly, but since he followed the old covenant and not the new covenant,
It's
and
fine.
Christianity was only fully revealed through Jesus. But
It's fine that you backpedal.
Moses prophesied another prophet, right?
Listen,
Jesus.
you're being half honest, which I mean, I guess I'll take it for now. It's because earlier you said that you must be a Christian. There's not a single Christian who didn't write a single book of the Bible. Nehemiah, Ezra,
Look,
Ruth, Esther.
Moses wasn't a Christian, but he followed the same God. as Christians worship today.
That's fine. That's being half honest, which is fine. But the book of Malachi, the book of Nahum, the book of Jonah, the book of Habakkuk, all these people were Jews that followed Yahweh. They never met Jesus. They never knew who he was.
I mean, they claim they did.
Where?
What do you mean, where, bro?
Okay, where did Habakkuk claim that he met Jesus? Where did Obadiah claim that he met Jesus?
When they met God.
God the person, like God the Spirit, right? The Trinity, is not the same as saying you met Jesus. Claiming that Jesus... This is also the problem that I have with the Trinity, is that if we're going to say that Jesus is God, and the Father is God, and the Holy Spirit is God, then that means that it would logically follow that Jesus spoke to Moses in the burning bush. When you know, if you're honest, that that's not the case. God the Father spoke to Moses in the burning bush. It's like saying that the Holy Spirit died on a cross for your sins. It logically follows to say that, but it makes no fucking sense.
I don't know how else to convince you, man, but like...
Well, first of all, be honest. And you've been half honest, which I guess I can accept.
What about Moses? Okay, yeah, he's not Christian. I made a mistake.
That's a start. We can have a conversation about it some other time. I have somewhere to be at 8 a.m.